Thank you, dear. Well, hello there. I am deeply honored to be with you graduates here on one of the happiest days of your lives. And hello to all the teary moms and dads, grandparents, husbands, and wives who join us here today as well. My own mom said that this was the happiest day of her life. So I commend all of you on the years of love and support that brought your student to this very special room today. Being asked to give the commencement address at such a wonderful college, as you can imagine, made me think a lot about what's important in my own life and in my work. And I came up with 3 lessons that I learned along the way that literally altered my life. When I was a kid, I worked as a lot jockey at Crest Chevrolet in San Bernardino. While I was there, I made a great friend that I will never forget. His name was Vicente Alarid. He was a 75-year-old Native American man with little education, but the greatest attitude and the greatest sense of humor ever. I adored him. Now one day, the shuttle driver, another man in his late 60s with a completely opposite type of attitude, started this ridiculous argument with Vince. And before we knew it, both of these wrinkly old men were cussing in 2 different languages, tearing off their shirts, and getting ready to throw down, or whatever it is that old men do. Anyway, as you can imagine, everyone jumped in to stop the fight. And as I approached Vince holding his shirt, I noticed the most horrific scars I had ever seen all over his back. I asked, and he later explained, that Vince was one of the soldiers who had lived through the 80-mile death march of Bataan, where thousands of soldiers were shot and stabbed with bayonets as they marched for weeks as prisoners. I asked Vince, how could you live through something like that and still be so happy and so positive, so funny? You know, aside from the fact that he just tried to beat the hell out of this other old man, aside from that, okay? In that service bay that afternoon, Vince taught me life lesson number 1. Everybody on earth lives through 2 wars. Everybody. Your war may be an earthquake that takes your home, the death of your child. You may have to struggle with cancer, a divorce, an actual war, or in my case, the death of my whole family. But those wars only take up a few minutes of your life in the big scope of things. If you choose to linger in your war like a lot of people do, the moments in between, raising your children, falling in love, watching them graduate from college, those moments will shrink. We owe it to our parents, to our families, but we really owe it to ourselves to live strong through those moments, to lean on friends when we have to find help dealing with those times, and to live through our war. As Vince put it, happy sticks to a good attitude. And I now know that to be true. When I was in my mid-20s, I came to a point where I began to wonder about my career choices. I loved radio so much. While it had been my teenage dream to work at KCAL, once I was actually in radio, I found that I love radio, no matter what format, whether I was playing rock and roll or hip hop, jazz or bluegrass, Christian, country or news, whatever, I didn't care. I loved it all because I loved radio, and the work I was doing didn't feel like work. But my dad and some family friends didn't like what I had chosen, and they insisted that there were more profitable choices for a career, that radio was dead end and wouldn't get me anywhere good. I began to wonder myself, and I began to question every part of this thing that up until now had given me nothing but joy. I began to feel miserable. And then one day, while I was with a friend at the library, I stumbled upon a book that taught me life lesson number 2. Do what you love. The money will follow. That book first taught me, and I now know undeniably, that when my work is rewarding or even fun, I love waking up in the morning. I love getting to work. I show up on time. I'm okay with working late. I'm a harder worker. I'm the happiest employee in the building, and I'm more positive. I meet deadlines. I come up with innovative ideas. People like being around me, and they trust my advice and my leadership. My boss likes me and tells me so. And I sleep great at night. These are the qualities that take anyone from the kind of job that my dad thought I was getting into to management, upper management, even greater success. Those are the great traits of very successful people. You know what else? When I'm doing what I love, I'm willing to try new things, and that's important. I might have stayed at that seemingly dead-end overnight DJ position, but instead I tried working at another station because I could be a bigger part of their staff. I helped out with promotions, and I was elevated to promotions director. At another station, I immersed myself in editing and commercial production. I became so good at it that I was offered an engineering position at VoiceOver LA Studios in Hollywood, where I worked on radio ads for the biggest companies in the world, the biggest people, the biggest names. I made better money. I bought a house. I engineered the audio on a television commercial for the re-election of George Herbert Walker Bush, and they put him on the telephone with us to hear it when we were done. Wow. Hello, Dad. Yeah, it's Lace. Guess who I just got off the phone with? The president. That's right. That's right. That early dead-end DJ job had led me there and has taken me since to a position with an NBC News affiliate, to a leadership position at Cal State San Bernardino, and to the presidency of the American Advertising Federation. I did what I loved. The money followed. But more important, I still love going to work every morning. The greatest business lesson that I've learned along the way really doesn't sound like business advice at all, but it really is. Be kind to people. Be kind to people. Those months that I spent in bed, alone and quiet, fighting with my depression and my anger because my family had died, felt like several long years. By the time I began feeling better, I knew that I had spent way too long in that misery, and I was terrified that that depression might return. So I thought a lot during that time about what my old friend Vince had said. Happy sticks to a good attitude, right? So I worked on my good attitude. I worked on my karma. I tried to be a better Christian, however you look at it. I started saying and doing things that I didn't have to do for the people around me at work and in my home, just for the sake of being kind. When someone did me a favor, I made sure to say, "Thanks, bud, I appreciate you." If one of my coworkers seemed down, I'd ask if there was something I could do for them. And if there was, they really did it. I jumped out of the car and helped that guy at the side of the freeway pushing his car. I helped my coworker move into a new apartment. I helped a friend of mine take care of her baby while she was sick. Later on, when she was still sick, I turned my guest room into a little boy's bedroom to make the little boy feel more comfortable. Another thing I tried was complimenting the grouchiest or the quietest person in the office or class or whatever I was at. I'd walk by my coworker's desk and I'd say, "Hey, Andy, that project was awesome," or "Your daughter is so beautiful." I'm told that here at Westwood College, that grouchy guy would be Mr. McDaniel. Just kidding, Eric, just kidding. peace, peace. What happened? I ended up with more friends than I've ever had before. The good kind of friends. I ended up with people who'll support me and fight for me. They listen when I give advice. They help me when I'm carrying things or struggling with something. They comfort me when I'm tired or sick or frustrated. They say wonderful things about me, behind my back, to friends, to strangers, to my boss. And they return the love and the friendship that I gave them. They tell me they love me. That little boy's mom never did get better. And he eventually became my godson. And then my foster son. And now he calls himself my son. And all of this feels pretty unbelievable to a girl who lost her whole family not very long ago. You see? My family hasn't shrunk. It's grown. Be kind to people, especially the quiet and the grouchy ones, at work and at home. Now, somewhere in that audience, someone is likely wiping tears because they are so immensely proud of you here today. But you've only just begun. You have only just begun. Fight your life wars valiantly and quickly. Be kind to the people around you. And by God, build a career that fills your heart and your life with joy, because you and I both know you could do this. You can do this. Thank you for inviting me here today. Congratulations.